that you can watch live across our social media platforms at K24 TV. You can as well engage with us this particular morning, and I want to hear from you in regards to the state of abductions here in the country, with the government adamantly denying any involvement in the abductions. In fact, a war of words was witnessed during the burial of the Speaker to the National Assembly, Moses Masiku Wetangula, and of course his brother Tim Wanyonyi, the legislator for Westlands constituency, with the Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya clashing with Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah over the state of abductions here in the country. Just want to hear from you in regards to who do you think should be blamed? Is the government to blame? And in as much as the youth or the five gentlemen were released yesterday, the question is, released by who? And why were they abducted? And as to the one missing abductee, Stephen Mbisi, where is he? Remember, Mbisi was abducted on the 17th of December 2024. We are on the 7th of January 2025. It's almost 3 weeks now since he was abducted in Mlolongo, Machakos County. His whereabouts still remaining unknown. Now, this particular morning, we'll be talking about that particular issue, the abductions here in the country, and what to expect in 2025 here in the country. A year that has, of course, begun with high political octane. This particular morning, I'll be joined by Inject Party leader Morara Kibaso, former legislator Wilson Sosien, and Wakili Steve Mbugo, just to dissect and have a look at what to expect this particular year, even as the schools reopen amid challenges in the education sector. As of yesterday, 2,500 classes for grade 9 learners were yet to be constructed, with the Ministry of Education saying that they will be constructed within the next 1 month. Question is, where has the government been for the past 2 months when students were home during the holidays? That will be what we will also be looking at this particular morning. Be sure to stay with us until the very end just to get the views of our panelists and get to understand more, even as parents continue to grapple with high bus fares as students resume school. There's also some sort of concern in regards to the release of the national examinations, KPSE examinations, and the Kenya Certificate of Secondary School examinations, which are yet to be released. The Minister of Education says they'll be released this particular month. Question is, when will those students who sat for the examinations get their results? Now, before we jump deep or get further into this particular breakfast show, I just want us to shift gears and have a look at what is making headlines in the news this particular morning. My name is Ian Keitani. You can engage me on my social media platforms as well, at Ian Keitani on X and at K24 TV on the same platform and across all our social media platforms. We begin our bulletin now on the planned Monday demonstrations failed to kick off as the police blocked and arrested several youths who had planned to participate in the protest in different areas around the country. In Mombasa and Kisumu counties, police cordoned off the planned demonstration sites, forcing the organizers to seek alternative sites, as at least 4 people were arrested. Now, activists and Kenyans who turned out to express their anger over increasing the abduction cases in the country demanded that they be stopped immediately. Martin Opio reports.
In Nairobi, police patrolled every street and heightened security in anticipation of the planned demonstrations. A group of women protesters gathered at Kimathi Street to express their anger over the rising cases of abductions. Police eventually dispersed them from the area. Another group later assembled to address the media, demanding the immediate release of the remaining abductees.
We are not here because we are jobless, because we are idling around. We are here because it matters to us that we feel safe at home. It matters to us that the Constitution of Kenya is upheld. It matters to us that the rule of law is respected.
Watu tukasirike vizuri. Tusiache tu kupiga kelele. Tuache ile mambo ya kupiga kelele. Tunataka watu hapa ground. Tufunge nchi completely.
Why are they not investigating? Why can't they tell us? And if they can't do that, then they should resign. this government should go. Because if they cannot keep us safe, then what business do they have leading us? They cannot lead us and kill us. They cannot lead us and snatch us. It is not going to, it's not going to be business as usual.
They scattered, only for activist Julius Kamau to be arrested for defying police orders to vacate the area. Activities and businesses in the city center continued as usual, with no traffic disruptions. In Mombasa, the situation was similar, as police dispersed several protesters who had gathered at Uhuru Gardens, demanding the immediate release of abductees captured from various parts of the country. Hundreds of heavily armed officers cordoned off the area, preventing any attempt by protesters to assemble.
We've seen the heavy presence of police officers, even more than the number of protesters. So this is intimidation, because barua tumewapatia. Kama kulikuwa na shida ya security, they should have informed us na mapema. So sasa tumefika hapa, tumeanza kuconverge, ndo wanaanza kusema ya kwamba maandamano yetu imekataliwa. So and by law hatuombi permission kwa serikali.
Human rights organization Haki Africa, through its officer Matthias Shipeta, condemned the police action, calling for respect for constitutional rights, vowing to continue the demonstrations. 3 people were arrested in the Mombasa protests.
Wale wamekamatwa kwa sababu wanapinga serikali ambayo haiwapatii kazi. Kama serikali ingetaka watu wasifanye hizo vituko wanafanya kwa mitandao, wangewapa kazi wakuwe busy.
Ningemwambia rais, ameturudisha tena katika era ya Moi. Era hiyo anoturudisha hatutaki.
The protests come amid growing concern over the increasing cases of enforced disappearances allegedly linked to state security agencies who have since denied their involvement.
I have a message for Ruto.
In Kisumu, civil society groups and a section of residents came out to condemn the government over abductions linked to the state, targeting its critics and suppressing freedom of expression in the country.
I have a message for Duale.
Speaking at a different location in Kisumu to avoid confrontation with a contingent of police officers who blocked the Oginga Odinga sports ground, where they had planned to address the media and proceed with demonstration, they criticized the government for what they termed as blatant disregard for the constitution.
The safety and well-being of all those abducted remains our priority, considering that the abductees are being held outside of the protection of the law.
We are really dumbfounded that a president can be so trivial with his rogue regime to the extent that they are abducting, killing, maiming citizens who are expressing their frustration, whether artistic or otherwise.
They are now demanding an immediate end to reckless remarks by government-allied leaders, the release of all abductees, the publication of a list of abducted persons, legal action against those responsible for the abductions, waiver of bonds and bails for those arrested during demonstrations, and compensation and treatment of victims of protests and abductions.
Reparations for all survivors and compensation for families of victims of this violence be rolled out. The state should also, with immediate effect, take up the treatment costs until full recovery for all those who need medical attention from effects of post-protest.
We'd like to remind the police, the president and all relevant institutions, let the police tell us where our friends are. What is the mistake of someone expressing his democratic free will on social media? We are Kenyans and we all have our rights, and our cyber rights should be protected.
However, the city of Kisumu largely remained peaceful, with businesses and activities operating as usual, despite plans by youths and human rights activists to paralyze the transport sector through demonstrations and roadblocks on major highways, demanding the release of 6 youths abducted during the festive season.
What are you doing to us? We have done nothing.
Martin Opio, K24 TV, Nairobi.
Now, Bernard Kevoli, one of the 6 Kenyans abducted, was released. Kevoli, who went missing on the 22nd of December, was found at Moy's Bridge along the Eldoret-Kitale Highway and was transported to Ngong Police Station to record a statement regarding his abduction. Kevoli is among 6 other social media users who were abducted in December, the release coming after intense pressure from social media users who had threatened to engage in protests until they are released.
4 p.m. Monday evening, a police vehicle with Bernard Kevoli on board
made its way into Ngong police station. His arrival, a sigh of relief to his family who have spent the festive season in agony, wondering the whereabouts of their loved one following his abduction in late December. Kivuli was abducted in Ngong town on December 22nd, 15 days later, disembarking from a police vehicle all covered up and masked up. His arrival met with an emotional moment for close family members who were overwhelmed by the sight of their son and brother. After recording a statement at the police station, though accompanied by his lawyers, Kivuli, all masked up, hooded and with sunglasses, remained silent. His counsel Shadrack Komboi, quick to note that details of his abduction and what transpired would be given at a later date.
We have not had a thorough discussion with our client just to find out or appreciate the circumstances that, first, number one, led to his abduction, and number two, the kind of experience he's had to endure.
It was not an invitation to treat. We all know he was bundled up in a car, not in a very nice way.
However, the vocal city lawyer turned his guns on those behind the abduction of the social media user, vowing not to relent until the perpetrators are brought to book.
If someone has committed any mistake, then this individual must be presented before a competent court of law for formal charging or prosecution for that matter. But to have a state where we have individuals being hounded, where we have individuals getting abducted, we are condemning it in the strongest terms possible. In the fullness of time, we shall be obtaining comprehensive instructions from our client so that we can deal with the perpetrators as the law so requires.
His release comes despite the government adamantly denying any involvement in the abductions, amid mounting pressure from Kenyans across board, more so on social media. Before his release, protesters were set to hit the streets on Monday morning, their release deemed as a strategic move by their abductors to thwart the scheduled demonstrations. All this time, despite being masked up, Atieri Kivuli watched on as his family was overjoyed by his return.
Marafiki zote wa Bernard, kwa Hex, kwa mtandao yote, pastors, kila mtu yoyote mwenye alitusaidia financially, maombi, kututembelea, na washukuru nyinyi wote.
Katika nchi yetu, sisi ni watu wa Mungu, sisi ni wa Kristo. Tunaomba kwamba matendo kama haya yaweze kukoma katika jina la Yesu Kristo. Yasiwe ya kuonekana tena.
Ngong MCA Mbiriri Mwaura was quick to slam those behind the abductions, vowing to deal with them as criminals.
Bwana Kanja alisema yeye hajui hawa watu. Sisi tunataka tuseme categorically clear, hawa watu ni wakora na ni wahalifu. Kama polisi hawajui basi ni kina nani? Si ni wakora. Na kwa sababu ni wakora, tutadili nao kama wakora. Na next time you are coming to Ngong, be assured, muombe hatutawaona, because we shall deal with you accordingly.
At the end, tears of joy turned into music and dance as Kivuli made his way home accompanied by his mother and lawyers, the only hope being that they never endure what they went through in the past 2 weeks. Ian Keitani, K24 TV, Nairobi. Now, the National Police Service, through its DCI unit, is assuring Kenyans that it is rigorously investigating all cases of missing persons in the country, with many still pending before the courts, while others remain under investigation. Now, this even as 5 of the 6 individuals who were reported missing for more than 15 days were reunited with their families yesterday. Meanwhile, the Young Adventist professionals have demanded that the government obeys court orders unconditionally for the rule of law to prevail. Electine Odera with the details.
They are not leaving anything to chance amid the recent spate of abductions. Despite 5 of the 6 abductees being found and released today, their hopes remain dashed until the government produces the remaining one, going by the name Steve Mbisi.
The Young Adventist professional will not stand idly as injustice prevails. Today, we demand the immediate and unconditional release of all those who have been abducted.
Kibet Bull, brother to Roy Kiplagat, who had been abducted at Kikuyu SDA Church, has been released this evening with Steve Mbisi still missing. Today, while addressing the media at the same church, SDA youth professionals called on the government to respect court orders.
When the elections are going to be announced, do not try us. Do not listen to all these people are telling you. We are asking, just as you are saying as our leaders that you should abide by the law, can you also abide by the law? And the law says that anyone who has been arrested within 24 hours should be given a right to face the court. We ask that one Gideon Kibet, we know the brother has been released. There is nothing to be thankful about. In any case, as I have said earlier, the team that abducted him should be prosecuted. The team should be disbanded. The government said it does not know who did it, yet it is them who have released them. We need to know that.
Led by activist Morara Kebasu, the youth criticized the government for orchestrating abductions and warned against the presence of chest-thumping leaders.
To the security professionals in our country who are paid by our taxes, whose cars are fueled by our taxes, who we pay for good health insurance, that this is a matter of life and death. Take it seriously, don't politicize with it, and do not permit politicians to run the security sector of our country.
We are going to come together, take our IDs, take our voters registration, and trust you me, hatutapiga kura tu, tutachunga kura. For the first time, we'll go live on our TikTok from every ward and every station when the elections are going to be announced. Do not try us.
Meanwhile, the National Police Service has assured Kenyans of the ongoing investigations. In a letter, the NPS has eyed Kenyans with information on the whereabouts of the missing persons to come forward. It also acknowledged the reunion of Billy Wanyiri, Peter Muteti, Bernard Kavuli and Roy Kiplagat with their families and assured that the necessary support for investigations will be provided. Elected Order, K24 TV.
24-year-old college student and blogger Billy Mwangi was reunited with his family yesterday after a harrowing 15-day abduction ordeal. Mwangi was abducted on December 21st by 4 hooded men at a barber shop in Embu Town. His return to their Majengo home early morning on Monday was met with jubilation as family members and locals welcomed him with the tears of joy. The emotional reunion was captured in a photo showing Mwangi embracing his loved ones, a testament to the relief and the happiness felt by all.
For Gerald Mwangi and his wife, Monday 6th came as a big reprieve and relief at last. Their son, 24-year-old Billy Mwangi, went missing 15 days ago, eventually knocked home safe and sound. The parents had feared for his life following his abduction.
We are taking responsibility for anything which that guy could have done.
Mwangi's parents recounted how Billy made his way to the family home at around 8 a.m. and upon his arrival, he loudly called his mother to open the gate.
Alikuja saa 2, nisikia mtu kwa gate mtoto anaitana, "Mama, fungua." Sasa ndio nikafungua nikaona he's okay. Hapo kwingine Mungu anajua tu.
However, the family says he looked traumatized and was rushed to hospital for checkup where he is still under doctor's monitoring.
Tumefurahi na bibi yangu, furaha ambayo mpaka saa hii we have not recovered from that happiness.
His father expressed his gratitude to all those who stood by the family and confirmed Billy was okay.
Shukuru wa Kenya wote sababu ya maombi, ningeshukuru kanisa sababu ya maombi, kila mtu ameniombea na akalia na mimi.
Manyata member of parliament Gitonga Mukunji, who visited Billy in the hospital, said that the young man is traumatized, dehydrated, and was physically assaulted.
Preliminary report is that the young man is traumatized, seriously traumatized, and he has been whipped, amepigwa vita, na pia amekuwa kwa room ambayo iko na giza. So the young man, when tulikuwa nakula Christmas, yeye alikuwa mahali ambapo hawezi jua mahali yupo.
The abduction had sparked significant concern and unrest within the community. Local leaders had been actively pushing for his release And residents staged protest last week demanding action and answers regarding his disappearance. Timothy Simwa, K24 TV.
Now, IEBC CEO Hussein Marjan and the family of the late IEBC acting Kilifi County Manager Aisha Akinyi Abubakar has called for speedy investigations over the death of the officer and the arrest of all suspects linked with her murder for justice to prevail. Now, hundreds of family, relatives and friends gathered at her home in Utange, Mombasa County for a final journey before she was laid to rest in Kikowani Cemetery in Mombasa County.
The death of IEBC acting Kilifi County Manager Aisha Akinyi Abubakar continued to raise eyebrows over the security of IEBC officials during and after elections in Kenya. Hundreds of families, friends and relatives gathered at her home in Mkunguni, Utange, Mombasa County for her final journey while calling on investigative agencies to arrest the suspects behind the killing.
Serikali ndo tutawachia wao wanafanya shughuli yote, na kama serikali wao ndo watahakikisha aliyefanya kitendo kama hichi cha dhuluma, manake si wizi wa kawaida uliotokea, ni wizi ambao ulichanganyikana na mauaji ambao ilikuwa imepangwa. Nia ilikuwa si wizi, nia ilikuwa ni mauaji.
Aisha, 48 years of age, joined IEBC Commission in 2012 as a constituency election coordinator for Nyali constituency in Mombasa County, then deployed to Kilifi South constituency, and later rose through the ranks to the position of acting Kilifi County election manager, a position she held until her death. IEBC CEO Hussein Marjan has since condemned the killing while questioning the motive behind the assailant escaping with IEBC documents, calling for thorough investigations.
Kama IEBC tunasema kwa tunalani kitendo hichi ambacho kimetendeka. They stole a couple of things, including official tools that are being used and documents. So we cannot rule out that probably there is something to do with that.
Local leaders led by Kisauni Member of Parliament Rashid Bedzimba now want the police to uncover what went through and arrest the suspect who managed to cut kitchen grill windows and gain access to the house.
Lazima wahakikishe kwamba wale waliotenda kitendo hichi wamepatikana, kwa sababu wakikosa kufanya hivyo inaonekana hii hali itaendelea. Kisauni ilianza kuwa nzuri, sasa imebadilika, imeanza kuwa tena mbaya. Kwa hivyo ni lazima vitengo vyote vya usalama, ujasusi, za upelelezi, polisi wa kawaida, lazima waje hapa, ujasusi waangalie network gani zilikuwa hapa wakati wa usiku huo.
Ningeomba bunge la kitaifa, kwa sababu this lady was a high ranking member of the IEBC. Kama hawa viongozi wenye tunapigiwa kura tunapewa ulinzi wa kutulinda kwa miaka 5, itakuwaje hawa wanaoganya mkate hawana ulinzi wowote?
This comes as human rights activists call for an end to the insecurity cases in Mombasa County, which has led to numerous deaths of innocent Kenyans.
Taswira ya Kisauni vile kumekuwa na high increase of crime in the society, na hii imeweza kujidhihirisha sana kwamba security in Kisauni needs to be uplifted.
Fas Msangi, K24, Mombasa.
Well, a very sad story over there, and it raises a lot of concerns ahead of the 2027 general elections. On that note, we take a brief breather. I'll be back with what is making headlines in the local dailies. Don't go away.
When it's a Saturday, there's only